Hey, what's going on? Oh my gosh, we've been in Thailand now, what,
Coming
10
up
days?
on 10 days now.
It's been absolutely insane. So grateful for our company, The Alliance. We've traveled more in the last 7 years than we have previous to that.
So grateful for the Alliance, just everything it's allowed us to do, not only for ourselves, but our kids. We're about to go hang out with the elephants. Let's go.
We are here in James Bond Island. We just took a canoe ride. It's a beautiful day. It's been raining all week, and it didn't rain today. So it was a perfect day to be out on a boat, surrounded by great people. It's been absolutely amazing.
We are in Thailand right now and having the best time. Let me tell you one thing, you have got to qualify for these trips. So we go to Portugal next year. Make sure you are there.
Today was a dream come true for me. Elephants are my favorite animal, and the Alliance took us to an elephant sanctuary where we got to bathe the elephants, make their food, feed them. It was just an incredible opportunity.
Questions, don't be scared, and get to it.
If you're brand new here, it is not impossible to make one of these trips. It's going to take some work, but it's totally worth it.
Have fun, we make money, and we make a difference. Alive.
From Phuket to Chiang Mai, Thailand, this is what happens when hard work turns into unforgettable memories. Thailand gave us the views, but the people gave us the memories. Don't miss another Alliance trip.
The Bible says, he who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night.
People get in money problems because of behavior.
Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Not only was I lost in my faith, but I was lost for my family. I was the prodigal son, and Andy took me back.
It's up to you to take ownership of that education. It's up to you to take ownership of that knowledge and to take ownership of your future.
Welcome to Wednesday Call Live. Now, let's hear it for our special guest host, Stephen Davies.
I'm getting to host TWC. I love getting to host TWC. Anytime that I am trusted to host the TWC, number one, I always enjoy it. But number two, I'm super grateful for the honor of hosting the TWC. So on top of that, I've got 3 men with me on the call today that I respect. And I respect them because of who they are, their core, their being, right? And the subject we're talking about is leadership. So like, even if we weren't accomplishing anything, just to get to talk about leadership with Brandon Manley, with Terry Edwards, and with Ryan Chang, that is a treat unto itself. So I am so excited to be on the call with my guests today. This is one of my favorite times of year. And let me tell you why. Because every single year, In September, October, November, December, that's when you see the superstars of next year. Those 4 months is when you see the superstars for next year. So like August is like, I feel like August, I'm at like the concert gates, right? They're about to open up and I'm getting ready to see the show. Like I love watching this back third of the year and seeing the new leaders emerge. Just so excited. We got Portugal to win. Get going. Let me tell you something. Win Portugal. Get it done by boot camp. That way in November and December, you're just stacking up some cash so that you got some cash for the trip. So excited for Portugal. We were just talking about that as we were waiting to get on the call. But here's the subject for today. The subject is the proof is in who you develop. And I love this subject because this is a subject of abundance. There's a lot of subjects that you can have that are helpful, that are instructive, that don't necessarily talk about abundance. See, this is about abundance. Well, one of the things that when I see it, I just go, God, we got to get them to step over into abundance. When I see people hit district manager or regional manager or national manager, and then they just kind of stay there. Or even fall back a little bit. The reason that happens, instead of pushing through to the upper levels of management to becoming a board member and putting yourself on that partner path, because that's what I want for you. I want you to be a partner. Holly and I want you to be a partner more than you can possibly imagine. That's what I want you to stand up. So what keeps you on that path? What's the difference? Why do some stop? Why do some continue to go? The subject that we're talking about today has everything to do with that. You see, when we make finite things our goal, like hitting an income level or hitting a builder level, see, that's finite. And when you hit a finite goal, then the motivation is gone. Those things, income levels, builder levels, those should just be finite mile markers as you're on an infinite journey of creating leaders. You see, when you move from the finite, I want to hit this level, I want to hit that income, I want to win the trip. When you move from that into the infinite, which is creating leaders, stacking leaders on leaders, when you move from a finite goal to a worthy calling, and that's what all of today's call is about. We've got 8 points we're going to share with you. I want to get right into it because, like I said, I want you to hear from the men I got on this call. These are 3 men whose perspective I respect, and I'm telling you, I'm just going to be excited to hear what they have to say. I hope you're ready to take some notes. You know, one of the things that I love to do whenever there are people speaking on subjects like leadership, like the guests we have on the call today, I like to take my notes and I like to keep them with me, and I like to continue to chew on those thoughts because here's what happens, right? You get a layer from being on the call, but you can continue to add layers to it by continuing to ruminate over those things, especially the things, because I know I'm going to hear stuff on the call today like, yeah, I got to get better at that. I'm going to try not to make that face. when Terry or Ryan or Brandon says something, I'm going to be But I'm going to look for stuff I can take away from this call to grow. So I'm going to hit our first point, and then I've got the leaders on this call are going to hit some of the other points. We're going to work together on this. But the first point is a question for you. What actually proves leadership? Like, what proves it? If you want to say, I'm a leader. Okay, what proves that? In other words, if we had to indict you as a leader, right? Like picture Terry, Brandon, Ryan. This is the grand jury. If we're going to indict you as a leader, what case could one present? You see, the easy cases a lot of people want to point to is title. I am a X and X manager. I am Y level. Okay. I make X amount of money. Okay. But see, title and income alone, that doesn't make one a leader. Leader is shown by the fruitage of what's happening underneath them. It really, the question is, are people growing because of my leadership? Are people growing because of my leadership? See, that's the mark of a leader. And then if you want to say, well, what's the next level mark of a leader? Well, the next level mark of a leader is, are there new leaders being created? A leader that is only creating followers is not a leader. They're just a manager, right? So unless you're creating leaders, I'm not a leader unless I'm creating leaders. Here's the question I really want to hit you with. If your organization cannot thrive, let alone function, without you constantly pushing it, what have you really created? You see, it breaks my heart when I see people move up through the organization, they hit a level, and then they turn that level into a job description. Instead of it being a level of leadership, they turn it in. Well, I'm a regional manager now, so these are the things I do, and I have to do all of these things for my people because without me, my organization can't function. But that, bro, you just got a high stress job. You just got a high stress management job. See, what I want is to create leaders that thrive without my constant presence or pressure, but can accelerate with my influence. You see, that's the line that I want to cross in my leadership, where they don't need my constant pressure and presence to perform, but they benefit and accelerate when I can influence them. So, am I building leaders, or am I just being a manager? Here's the thing: real leaders. And you look at the frontline leaders that Andy has built in this organization. Real leaders can eventually lead without needing the leader beside them. Do I welcome Andy's influence and Andy's coaching? Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. But I'm going to do what I'm going to do to drive the organization because Andy has built that leadership. Does that make sense? So this number one question, I really hope you continue to chew on through the rest of the day. Don't let the few things I said about it be the things you take away from it. But what actually proves a leadership? What actually proves leadership? Could I be indicted if my organization was presented to the grand jury of Mr. Edwards, Mr. Manley, Mr. Chang? Would they indict me as a leader based on how my organization appears? If not, why not? What am I seeking to control that's holding my folks back from leading? What glory or praise am I seeking that's keeping my people from receiving the sunlight they need to grow? But what would indict me as a leader? Terry, Brandon, Ryan. I might have to mix that up because I'm going to tongue twist that. Anything you guys want to kick on that? I know Manley's ready to go with our second point.
Bro, can you be indicted by a jury of your peers that you are in fact the leader? Not your social media following, not your cousins and them, not your mama. You know your mama gonna think that you're the best thing since sliced bread anyhow. But I remember this right here, Stephen, when you said that you respected the men on this call, that did it for me. Because I remember coming into this organization, and while I have had some success prior to getting here, there were a lot of principles that was thrown out that I necessarily had never heard of, but it just resonated with my spirit, such as I want to be respected by the people that I respect. That's a whole nother game plan right there, where you want to fight for the attention of your upline, that you want to be found worthy enough of their time to drop down and help you build. Not like you're entitled to your upline, that your upline owes you every waking minute. Like if they don't answer my phone call, that's a problem. Like, to be respected, I hope that's something that maybe resonates with someone right now, is fight to be respected by the founding members of our organization. To hear that you're respected by Stephen Davies or Andy Riddle or my boy down there, Women of Cats, man. Abian, Levitovich, right? The Mount Rushmores of the alliance. We should be fighting. And then here comes ego. Ego comes in and say, you know what? I put on my pants one leg at a time, just like them. Why should I have, like, bro, like, sis, come on. We are trying to build something greater. It is already great, but we're trying to take this thing to a whole nother level. So when you look at that front line of leadership that Stephen Davies has talked about, the influence of Andy Albright is always there, even when his presence may not be. And that's what we want to build as an organization, that we can actually live our life and still have a business when we come back. Because when we hit those finite goals that you just mentioned, like a district manager or a six-figure income or something like that, right? When we are going after that in our industry, to be honest, it's like that stuff is very simple to do, almost easy to do. Like agency manager, 2 legs, 25,000 issue paid. Like seriously. Like seriously. So
Terry, it's kind of like when Chandler said, "I'm taller than you now, Dad," and I was like, "That's most of the world, son."
Is that like so? Being respected by the people that you respect, and how can you not respect someone's body of work? Respecting someone and liking someone is two different things. I cannot like you, but I cannot deny the body of work that a Stephen Davies have put in, that a Brandon Manley has put in, that a Ryan Chang, what he is building. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may not like them personally or their personality or whatever, but can we stop being so shallow and look at the real body of work? That's all I want to say for right now, bro. You knocked it out. Like, you came out the gate swinging.
Man, I'm telling you what. Well, I was that excited to get to do this with you guys. Like, I was like, let me have where we go. So hey, let's build on that then, right? So, what is a follower versus a leader? What does that look like, right? Because if the goal is, now I'm looking at my organization, I'm going, maybe I wouldn't be indicted by a jury of my peers. Maybe I need to put a more compelling case forward. So, Brandon, talk to us. The point number 2 is followers versus leaders. I know you're ready to rip on this, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of the dangerous parts of the business, because I think it's so easy to confuse a follower with a leader. And at the same time, here's what's funny about it. And I'm going to kind of contradict myself. You know, they say you have to be a good follower before you can become a leader. Right, but there is a difference, right? So at first, when you're doing anything new, you don't really know what you're doing, right? You're not. You've got to seek advice from people who have been there, right? And we have so many examples around the alliance that you can turn to. And so the difference is this: is a follower asks questions like this: is what should I do? What should I do? They just come to you and they ask you, and here's a big mistake that a leader will make. They tell them without making them think. Yeah. You know, here's what a leader does. Were you about to say something?
No, I was just like that. What you just said, if you would repeat that was so good.
Yeah. So you've got to challenge them to think for themselves to become a leader, right? Because here's what a leader will come to you and say. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. Here's my plan around that. What advice do you have? Or what do you think about that? You see how they come with a preconceived, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm looking to do. What do you think about that? Now they're going back to your point. Are you ever going to turn down advice from Albright? No, right? But if you come to Albright and you ask these questions, like, what should I do? He's going to be like, what do you think you should? Because he knows that he needs to challenge you. How you should approach that conversation if you're trying to show leadership qualities is, hey, look, here's the problem. Here's what I got going on. Here's how I'm looking at fixing that. What do you think about that? And accept that advice and take that and run with it. You know, I think you mentioned this earlier, Davies, is leadership really, when you look at the leadership and the alliance, like, they take ownership of things. Another thing, I'm reading Goals by Brian Tracy right now, and one of the things he talks about is how leaders move quick. Like they move quick. They decide on something, they move forward with it. If they fail at that, they learn from the failures, they go back and they try something else. Of course, they're seeking advice the whole time, but when I say ownership of their business, they see a problem and they're looking at how do I solve that, right? A follower, what they spend a lot of time doing is complaining about the situation and waiting for someone to provide a solution to them, right? I do a leadership call with some of my team now, and one of the things that I gave them as homework is they're really trying to work on these qualities of developing leaders. Because back to your point, Davies, if you don't create other leaders, like your organization can't thrive without you, right? And then what are you? You're a solopreneur, right? You got a bunch of people that work alongside of you, but you can't function that way, right? I remember vividly this happened early on in my career here at the Alliance. It was maybe I was 6 months, maybe a year in, I don't remember. But I had a group of people, and they were. I remember I called them. I had something happen in my personal life with my dad, and I was out for like a week. And I remember going back to them and being, checking in on them, how's everything going, and they had done nothing. And I was like, why? Well, you weren't available. And I was like, dang. And so I made a commitment to myself to make sure, because now, if I'm going to be out for a day or two, you have other people to step up, right? So, and this it goes back to kind of Terry's point that he made. When you look at the ownership, the reason that a follower thinks like, well, I'm going to complain about the problem until it gets fixed, right? Like, let's say it's something to do with leads or recruiting strategies or whatever. They look and like, hey, Davies, there's nowhere good to recruit right now, man. Like, we got to figure this out. But what they're really saying is, you need to figure this out. And I'm like, why do they think that? Do they think it's because you're a higher rank than them? Do they think it's because you make more money than them? You have more resources than them? See, a leader, they think about, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to solve this problem? So when you look at the deep root of it, if you want to know, this might be a bold statement, but this is what I think. If you want to know whether you lean more on the follower side or the leader side, are you more problem focused or are you more solution focused? There is nothing that drives me more crazy than somebody that just wants to talk about the problem. When I'm talking to somebody that wants to talk about the problem, you've got to ask these questions of, what's the solution? What are we going to do about it? Right? But here's what you'll find is sometimes they don't want to talk about the solution. They just want to dwell on the problem because they don't want to put the time in. And sometimes the leaders aren't challenging if you're not challenging them to think for themselves. So I'll kind of wrap it up and see what you guys' thoughts are with this. Is what do you do once you see those leadership qualities, right? You've got to put them in situations to grow into that leadership. You've got to stop being the I'm the upline. Yeah, it's going to make your life tougher, right? If you don't grow other leaders, because again, you can't step away from your business. You're never going to thrive. So let them do things before they feel like they're ready for it. You know what I mean? And here's, you want to let them lead a call, let them lead training, right? Let them mentor a person, or they bring a problem to you. Challenge them to solve that problem. And here's where you got to coach based off the results of what they did. Let them make some mistakes. Let them learn from that. You know what I mean? So here's what I'll challenge you to do is all you gotta do is, if you're talking to me, Davies, and you're bringing a problem, I'm going to ask you questions like, hey, so Stephen, how do you think you should handle this? And we're going to start talking through that process. And let's say it's a tough conversation with an agent that you have to have. How are you going to handle this? Well, I'm going to listen to you, and then I'm going to provide additional advice to you based on that. And I'm going to coach you on that before you have that conversation, right? I'm going to correct and then after the conversation, if we have a conversation about what happened, right, I'm going to correct you on things that you did after. I was talking to one of my guys last week, and he said something along the lines of like, I told him what I would, talking about agent, what I would recommend to him. I'm like, okay, so let's think about this. You're the one that's experienced in this field. You're the one that's excelling, and you're giving them a recommendation based on it. He played football. I'm like, did the football coach ever say to you, hey, what I would recommend you do is cut that guy off next time? No, he was.
It's not too much work. If it's not too much work.
Yeah, it's not too much. Just, if you wouldn't mind, do you think you could do this? No, the coach is screaming at him. Why? Because the coach has a standard. He's trying to get a winning team.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be on that field, you're going to adhere to those things. So what kind of standard are we creating if we're not holding people accountable, right? So that was kind of but you got to, see, that was after a conversation. So you got to correct that. You know what I mean? Because that's how they're going to move forward. So I think all in all, when you're looking at followers versus leaders, just go back to those two questions. When you run into a bottleneck in your business, are you more problem focused? Is that all you focus on? Or are you more solutions focused? And from a manager standpoint, if you're trying to build leaders, are you taking the easy route and just giving the answer all the time? Or are you challenging that person to see, hey, what do you think we should do?
Yeah. And I'll tell you what the problem gets to be, Brandon, is once you do this business long enough, like if you do this business long enough to start hitting some of the builder levels, you're going to know most of the lower level answers, right? So here's what happens inside our bodies, just so I'm explaining, like, this is why we do this, right? So Brandon comes to me and he says, Stephen, I need you to build my calendar for me. I need you to do my schedule for me. All right. So I've been here a minute. I know what a calendar looks like. So now I'm going to build you a calendar. Guess what I get for doing that? I get a little hit of dopamine because I had the answer. So my question would be, are you after a little hit of dopamine, or are you after some real depth in the relationship? And I love what you said, Brandon, about, the questions, right? The questions people ask so the questions the people that are following you ask are, one, they tell you where they're at. Two, it also tells you that, hey, maybe where you're at. Like, some people will always they don't want to grow, so they're always going to ask lower level questions. But if everybody in your organization is only bringing lower level questions, then that's it's got to be on me, right? Like, if one person calls you a horse, they're a liar, right? If two people call you a horse, there's a conspiracy. If three people call you a horse, saddle up. You know what I'm saying? So, like, but so you got to look at that stuff through the lens of what is that saying about me, right? Because if they're only bringing you questions that they need answered, or if they're bringing you questions that are telling you they're already in motion, I love that. That was great content, brother. Thank you. Terry, Ryan, you guys have anything from that? I mean, that was such good content, Brandon. All right. Let's move on, brothers. All right. So number 3, getting into someone's head and heart. A leadership development is personal. Ryan, I know you've got some content prepared on this. I'm ready to hear what you have to say, brother.
Hey, thank you, Stephen. I'm just so humbled to be on this call. So when I saw the list, I'm like, wait a second. So Stephen Davies, Terry Edwards, my upline, Brandon Manley, AMG. I'm like, man, the board members and the integrity partners. Who am I, right? But I'm so thankful to be on these call. And truly, I would say, what comes from the heart touches the heart, right? Because a lot of times, as leaders, we're talking numbers, we're talking productions. One thing that triggers me a lot is, does your people feel they're being managed, or do they feel they're being valued on your team as a leader? Because a lot of times that we know what we got to do, we know the things we got to focus on.
Hey, Ryan, yeah. Can you say that question one more time? I want to give everybody time to write that down. That was a really good question.
Yeah. So, as a leader, does your people feel they're being managed, or does your people feel they're being valued?
That's good.
On your team, right? Because we know we sell, we recruit and build the numbers, the appointments, the calendar, and all that. That's great. And one thing we start doing as a team on our team call is we always have new people coming in, newcomers, new fast track, new recruits coming to our team calls. And I take some time at the beginning of the call to introduce them. And I ask them to share just 3 simple questions. Here's the 3. Number 1 is, they're a little bit about their background and past success, what they're doing, what have they done already. Number 2 is, what's their why? What gets them fired up out of the bed every single morning, right? And number 3 is, if everything works out, right, as it is a plan, what do they want the alliance opportunity to do for them? If everything works out, we got a system, it's proven. If everything works out, what do you want this opportunity to do for you? What you would change in your life? So we literally have them talk about that. So people start feeling like, wow, like here I feel like I'm being valued, I'm being heard. I'm just not, another number on the team. And I'll give it an example. I'm thinking Andy one time he asked me, he said, hey, Ryan, how are you? Simple question. And I went straight to the KPIs, the fast track, the recruits I'm working on, getting to regional manager, what's next, this is what I'm working on, the next city. He go, whoa, Ryan. So slow down for a minute. Like, how are you? Like, how's your wife? How's little baby Andy doing? And I was like, I was just so taken aback because that was not what I'm used to. That was not the culture I came from. The past, it was, so like, for example, let's say I'm the director, I'm calling Brandon. I'm like, hey, Brandon, how's it going? How's Haley? How's the newborn baby? And Brandon would tell me a little bit, hey, by the way, Brandon, how many clients you're getting this month? It went right straight to the number, to the point where like, hey, let's just cut the first 30 seconds because you really don't care. Right? And I think, what struck me too, being a leader here and watching all the leaders that has done it before me, Stephen and Terry and Brandon and Andy Albright, he said once, I think not directly to me, but indirectly, it was build people, build your business, build relationships, build your business. Because people might join your organization because we do have a great opportunity, but people stay in your organization and perform at a high level because they have the relationship with you. All these times, like Stephen, I remember that 17-minute conversation we had on the phone last year. We got connected in Cabo. I didn't know you were coming to dinner with FNG. That was so cool to have dinner with you. I'm like, I'm at dinner with Stephen Holly. That's crazy. Brandon, we always talk about just different things, either at the Sal's Pizza or just before the convention, which during networking. Terry and I will be talking, and he would come checking on me, high-fiving me just right before the live TWC call at headquarters. So just those little moments, that the culture that we built here. So, as a leader going in, and then we had that call earlier today with my team and say, hey, look, make sure, right, you have empathy on your mind. Okay, and don't let empathy become just that part of their personality that comes out once in a while. Make empathy operational, right? Because once you start listening, our part of the 8th step is listening and communicating with a positive mental attitude. It's there for a reason, right? So I want you to keep that in mind as you're building your team and bringing more people in. And if people are slowing down, they're not moving, are you taking that time to have a little empathy, have that conversation, just trying to understand what's going on? And before you move into the numbers, try to listen a little bit more.
I love it, dude. Empathy is, it's one of those things, the feeling of being heard and the feeling of being loved. And any psychologist will tell you this. They're so close that the person of average intelligence can't tell the difference. Yep. Being heard and being loved. And so being heard then is a way of making people feel loved, because when people feel heard, they'll feel loved. And I love what you said about the fake care. We've all received that before, right? Hey, Ryan, how are you? Okay, how about those numbers? Like, you could tell they were barely able to contain themselves. Let me tell you something. Fake care feels worse than lack of care.
Yes.
When it's not real, I'm just telling you. So that's why I love you came back after that, and then came into empathy. And one of the things when I look at Andy and I look at the large organizations within the organization, getting into someone's head and heart is easy for the people that are just like you, right? I mean, you give me a medium-sized white guy, I got it. You know what I'm saying? But when you can reach the heart of people of diverse backgrounds, that's when you become a powerful leader. So if I'm looking at what kind of leadership am I building, I'm looking at how diverse, how many different types of people can I reach? And let me tell you, the harder it is to, this is the coolest thing, the harder it is to reach a personality type, the more leadership skills you're actually developing. It doesn't take any leadership skills for me to move someone just like me, right? Like when I met Brandon Manley, I was like, I bet I know what motivates him because he's just like me, right? But when you can motivate people like that, that's what's so beautiful. Like one of my new people, a new leg that's taken off for us. So the reason I've been traveling to Arizona, his number one takeaway, Terry, was from the event, family reunion, is I've never seen financial services this diverse ever. And that's because of the amount of hearts that Andy and the top leaders can reach. I love it. And Ryan, the stuff that you're talking about, what that helps people do is not just build sales skills or recruiting skills. It's far bigger than that. Empathy helps people believe in themselves. When I feel empathy from you, the definition of empathy is your pain in my heart. When we feel that connected, you're helping me build belief in myself. Awesome stuff, Ryan. Appreciate you putting that together. Terry, Brandon, you guys got any takes on that?
I tell you, man, manage versus feeling valued. It's crazy because it depends on where a person is sometimes, I don't know if I'm going to say this right. I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance if this don't come off right because I didn't rehearse it. But sometimes we need to be managed, and sometimes we do need to feel valued. Why do I say we need to be managed? Sometimes, especially when we come into an organization such as the Alliance, where you are a volunteer, you are 1099. There is no HR manual that say, okay, on the first infraction, you're going to get a verbal warning. The second infraction, you're going to get a pink slip. The third infraction, you're fired, right? But when some people are coming to this organization, they've never been in, maybe even in a leadership position at work, or they never have been at a boardroom table where they was always being told what to do. So sometimes when we first get into an environment like this, it's so much freedom that we do have to manage expectations, manage calendars initially, especially when you're brand new, you're a baby here, and it doesn't matter your age. It has nothing to do with your age in life. It is just you're a first-time entrepreneur. A lot of people that come into our organization. But we do have to get managed. I remember going over to corporate. Me and Tia, when we first got started, we rented desk space at corporate. And speaking of ownership, I had to pay my own phone bill at corporate and rent. But it was just like I would go over there, and about 2 o'clock, I would have to go take a nap. I was like, these people, it was just overstimulation. I was like, these are some hardworking people. They're driven. They're always happy. Where do these people come from? That was very much different than corporate America. So for a while, my emotions had to be managed. Like, okay, this is how you respond in these environments. My schedule, I had to build that work muscle. When you get around the top leaders in the company, they work at a much higher level than most people. It's like we get more done in a day than most people get done in 2 weeks. And it's almost like you're almost bipolar in this business, right? Like you could have one phone call, it's very exhilarating. The next phone call, you getting blamed for everything that's going wrong in their life and in their business within a 5-minute span.
Oh, thank God. I thought that was just me.
So it's like helping people. Now, as people get started, yeah, we're going to always value people. We're going to manage. But then that level of expectations, we're talking about, we're building that next wave of leaders right now. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I get feeling valued. But, baby, we got to go. We are trying to win. We ain't trying to win the local Pop Warner championship. We're trying to dominate this space. The Alliance, we're trying to get the #1 locker in the Integrity Club. Mm-hmm. And any organization that's striving for that, Hey, sometimes you got to lean out to your own understanding and just fall in line, and then you will figure it out. And I tell people all the way, hurry up and get bigger, please. Let's get bigger, and you'll understand.
I love it. I can't wait to hear what you have to say on one of the points that you got to talk on, because I'm when you said I want that one, I was like, oh, let's go. All right. So point number 4, leadership happens outside the meeting. Here's what I know, right? Zoom's great. I mean, we use a lot of Google Meets, right? But to me, all those things are kind of like the fireplace on a TV. It's pretty to look at, and it's better than looking at nothing, but it's never kept me warm. That's where spending time with people is such a key. So I know, Chang, I know you put a few points together on this for us as well. Leadership happens outside the meeting. Talk to us for a minute, brother.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, I think a lot of the formal and scheduled meetings, they do manage the process, right? But it's the informal, spontaneous interaction that builds your culture. Right now, information is always important, but the big thing that I love about the Alliance is the culture that we have. And, Andy talks about traveling, go see your people. Hey, you're not going to build an empire sitting at home. That's a really big message. Lots of people, they do Zoom calls all day. Hey, great. But, look at what all the leaders are doing. I mean, you see, Stephen, you travel like crazy. Terry is doing multiple hotspots. I feel like in a week, I will see Terry in Oklahoma City. I'll see Terry in Atlanta. Terry's everywhere too. Brandon's doing lock-ins. We're about to do one in Vegas. I'm super excited for that. So people are traveling and gathering people together. I promise you, at the convention, we love the conventions and we attend all meetings, but I'm seeing all the magics are happening in these night owls. The night owls are happening, the dinners, the different traditions that we have a tradition where, if you are at the convention the day prior, we always have these team dinner, and we always want to make sure you get some North Carolina barbecues, right? If we're in Burlington, right? If we're in Dallas, doing something different. So that's just part of the culture we wanted to build, people breaking breads together and people talking about things outside of just working. And during those times, I think as a leader, a lot of times I think we talk enough, on Zoom calls and doing training and hotspots. And a lot of those times during night owls or during those, outside meetings, it's better to listen, right? Listen is the toughest part of the communication. But if you become a really good listener, you gather actually a lot of information from listening. And you know what make this person tick. And the part that Terry talks about being managed, they know, because the true leader, you understand how people want to be led. Not everybody wants to be lead in the same way. I made these mistakes in retail. One time, literally like the first retail job, managing, lots of transactions, lots of employees. We were in a 3-man and 1 female team. So the main leader, he has his way, he has his standard, and that's what I learned how to manage. And in 6 months, I got my own store. I went into a situation where there's 3 females and 1 of me. And I still carry on the same strategy as store A to store B. Those girls turned on me. It did not work because I did not understand how they wish to be led and how they like to be led. So a lot of times those information come from listening. So hopefully that's helpful to you.
No, I love it. I always say, put your miles where your mouth is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your Delta Sky miles does not match your mouth, or American, whatever American is, or whatever you fly. I'm a Delta guy, but like, I'm gonna put my miles where my mouth is. Like, if you've got an up and coming person, and you're like, this is my up and coming person, and the first time you meet them in person is at a big event, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
Unless you recruited them the week up.
I hear a lot of stories from your downlines. Well, Stephen did this for me, but it was not at the convention. He came to San Diego. He came, somewhere to see me. And Terry, same thing. Brandon, same thing. It was those stories from the downlines and saying, well, he came to me and we spent that time together. We did the lock-in for 3 days where Terry went on run appointments with me. It's those stories that earns that respect also.
Yeah, I love it. And as you're coming up in the organization, don't always be like, well, Terry needs to set something up for all of us. be that leader. Does that make sense? Like, be that leader. I promise you, unless the person above you is a control freak, they're not going to be like, no. I schedule all of the night owl social stuff. No one else but me. It has to flow to me, right? Like, I love it when I hear stuff that like my up and coming leaders are doing like that, and they're not waiting for me or for Andy to do it. They're doing it. I love that stuff. Like Mimi at the national convention, she did awards for her people, and like that's up and coming leader stuff that I love to see. But I love getting in people's cars. I love getting. Here's the thing: if all my people ever hear from me is the talks I give, then we don't have a relationship. We've got to talk, not just me talk, not just me give a talk. Brandon, Terry?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what he talked about last, is somebody never feels valued if you don't do that. And for the person that's coming to the meetings, that's why it's so important to get around the aftermath of the meeting. You know what I mean? Like, I started doing that thing that Ryan mentioned earlier with sales, and the reason I did that was because it was such a great opportunity for everybody just to network with each other, and you find out this person talked to this person, and they build a relationship, and now you got a strong relationship there, and it goes, and here's the other thing, like, you know, when you used to do ride-alongs in the car, the exciting thing about that was the windshield time, right? Because you actually get to know a person. It's the same thing when you're traveling to them, you know, after you do a hotspot or something like that. Hey, you want to know the trick to getting a spouse that's skeptical on board? Spend some time with them. They figure out, hey, you're just a real person. You're cool. I like you. Hey, you should do this. Hey, they might even get involved, you know? So you got to put yourself in situations to where, you've got to put yourself in situations to where you can get that relationship with somebody, and then they do really feel valued. The people that you spend the most time with, they feel the closest bond to you, and you also find out things about them, right? Like Ryan was talking about the lock-ins. The lock-ins are all day work, you know what I mean? But afterwards, after we wrap up, you know, we'll go to like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then at the end of that, people just kind of hang out. We'll get some pizzas delivered, and then, but you'll notice at events and stuff like that, some people are just ready to get out of there. Like, let's say you come all the way to, I'm gonna use as an example as because I traveled out there recently, and it's not easy to get to Albuquerque. Let's say the people are traveling in from Albuquerque to Burlington, right? Let's say you're coming, you're part of Jacob's race team, and your thought is like, I need to get out of here. No, you just, like, I know what that involved because I took that trip. You know, so like you need to spend every waking moment you can around it while you're here to try to soak up as much. And from the leader's point of view, it's like, man, you got to keep them around, dude. I remember Andy he had the young people, the young group up on stage. And I heard from somebody, there was like 1 or 2 that had to get out of bed and come back. It's like, wait a minute, what? Like I don't know where you came from, even if it's from Raleigh. Like, you drove an hour to be up here. Like, get your butt out of bed and come on back, you know? And I think they did come back. But it's just an important lesson that Ryan just shared, is those are the moments that make everything. Not you standing up in front of a room, doing a hot spot in front of them. That's not where that relationship is built. It's the one-on-one time, or the one-on-3 time, like the small groups. Think about when Andy does stuff. He doesn't invite, when he does his cabin events, he doesn't invite 50 people to those cabin events. No, it's like a 20 select few, because he wants to pour into them. And then if you notice how Andy operates at those events, he doesn't just spend time with 2 or 3 people. He is locking into each person individually to see what they're about, how he can help them, and what they have going on in their business, getting to know about their family and everything like that. So, great point,
Brandon. I love it. And great distinction on the spouse, right? Too many times I hear, well, their spouse is not supportive. Seek not to judge, seek to draw, right? So, like, are we trying to draw that spouse into the business with us instead of just going, well, they're crazy, they're lazy, whatever. Just seek not to judge, seek to draw. All right, I'm fired up about this. Width and depth, Mr. Edwards.
Width and depth, baby. Let's talk about it. Let's go to work, man. Hey, listen, I think we need to create, hey, TLN, your marketing crew, I ain't going to even ask for no royalties on it. All right, here we go. I think we need to get a dictionary of terms for the Alliance. You know, we got Botham, Bam Fam. You know, people need to know. We got our own language. So width and depth, right? Width and depth. What is width? Now we're going to start talking about recruiting and building. Width is anybody that you bring into your organization. And the cool part about it is this right here. You can bring in as many people as you want. We don't have a maximum quota. We are actually, we are kind of like, we're at our capacity with people who just want to just have two legs. So every person that you bring in is a leg. Width, every person you bring in direct to you, we consider that a leg. Well, technically, no.
But now, Terry, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I know you said we're at our capacity for people with only two legs. Could we keep their resume on file in case a position opens up later?
Yeah, we could do that. Okay. We're not firing anybody. Okay. All right, but look, if you're going to build something great, you got to have these tools in your heart, not just on your bookshelf. You got to have the 8 steps to success. You can't build width without talking about the 8 steps to success. These are our core fundamentals. This is what our minimum expectation is, that we expect people to personal use, work, listen, attend all meetings, read, be teachable, be accountable, communicate with a positive mental health. That's our baseline right here, guys. If you're going to be on the Alliance team, you got to buy into this. And it has to be, you read it, you do it, you teach it, and you expect it, okay? Then we got this book. So this book right here, the Green Book. If you're going to try to scale a national organization, you want to become a board member, you want to become integrity partner, this book right here is it. This is a manual that is not designed just to be read from cover to cover, but you should often refer back to it. And then our House of Behaviors and Values by Jeff Bright and Andy Albright. Like, this is one of the best culture books that we have. It goes right in line with our 8 core values, and it has 4 behaviors attached to every core value, teaching us how we should be acting. Because truth be told, we all come from different backgrounds. Some was raised by their parents, some was raised by a single parent, some was raised in brought up in another company or another culture, right? This book gets us in alignment with this is who we say we're going to be. We put it in writing, and let's freaking go, right? These 3 books for sure is how you're going to build a dynasty here, right? And when we start talking about recruiting, right? This is our system. James Clear says this right here. He said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. You see, the Alliance and Andy Albright and our leadership team has done an amazing job at putting systems in place. But it is up for us to take extreme ownership and bring these books to life in our daily routines, right? And I think Ryan mentioned this too, that we don't build the business, we build people who build the business. We have to come to an understanding that we're not in financial services. We're not just insurance agents. We're in the people business. Just like McDonald's. Don't get it twisted. Most people think McDonald's is in the fast food business. They are more into real estate and franchising than actually selling fast food. Well, why do you say that, Terry? Numbers lie. I mean, men lie, women lie, but numbers do not. Allegedly, in 2025, McDonald's made $10.4 billion, and that's billion with a B, just in rent from their franchise owners. Compared to 9.6 billion in fast food sales. They made more money in rent than food sales. And then on top of that, they made another $6 billion in royalty fees. Majority of they're in the people and real estate business, just the burgers and the fries, and God knows I had me a 2A combo with a Diet Coke on the day. Well, why do you order a quarter pounder with a Diet Coke? Because the Diet Coke ain't got no calories. So we're in the people business. So we're recruiting width, right? Width is the people that you bring into the business, and you can bring in as many as you want. This is next level thinking, guys. Think of this right here, and this is where we want to go. Yes, an insurance license only costs you $200, but can you start acting as if you spent over $1 million to start a McDonald's franchise? Because in our world, our agents can get way more profitable with a $200 insurance license. And I'm not just talking about profitable and I spent $200, I made $300, and now I'm profitable. No. Baby, listen, the average McDonald's profits about $250 a year. I mean, we have salespeople right now in this organization working 2 to 3 days a week, making $250,000, which is more than what a McDonald's franchise who have to have all that liquidity, credit, and all that stuff. So can we stop thinking of, oh, I just got me a new downline or a new recruit? No, every person you bring in as if you are opening a new McDonald's on Main Street. How many franchises do you want? I want a lot of them. So when we start talking about like recruiting, right? There's a difference between recruiting and building. All right, what you mean by that, Tara? Well, here we go. Talk to me, baby. Recruiting is all about getting somebody in the door, just getting them to say yes to the opportunity. But building, on the other hand, is developing who they become once they're in the door, once they are on the team. See, a lot of times when we're recruiting people, recruiting is focused basically on the opportunity. I got to get them started. I got to get their license. I got to get them carrier contracted. I got to get their personal use. I got to get them signed up for convention. I got to do this. I got. It's process. It's all about transactions and processes, right? Whereas on the flip side, building focuses on the individual that you bought in and not the process. Guys, listen. I was talking to Albright, I believe it was Saturday morning, about 6:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we was just talking, and he ended the call and he said, man, I know your dad will be proud of the decisions that you're making and the life that you're building. That, like to be clear, we're going to be wide as a fat baby's bottom and we're going to get deep as the Nile. But that one statement right there caused me to pause for a moment and be like, you damn gone right. You daggone right. He would be proud. You know what I'm saying? So when we're recruiting, we're always thinking about, can I get them started? And when we're building people, we're really focused on who are they becoming?
Yeah.
Recruiting is about them numbers, creating numbers, but building is about creating more leaders. And in this book right here, the Millionaire Maker Manual, if you don't have a copy of it, I highly recommend getting a copy of this book. But on page 45 in this book, it talks about the major purpose of the Millionaire Maker Manual is to teach the Alliance success system that will allow you to build a duplicating business with no limits on what you can accomplish. So when we start talking about recruiting and building a business, right? Are you seeing something bigger than just, you know what? This can generate a side hustle income, or, get your mind off the, like what we have our hands on can be generational change for your last name.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it, brother. And to me, it's like width and depth, right? If you lack width, you lack ambition. If you lack depth, you lack care. Right? You get down, you build those relationships. Width is ambition. I love the question. What new relationships have I built? What new legs have I built?
And that's crazy right now, Davies, because this right here, if you're in your growing upline, their whole mission is to help you get two smoking legs. What if you don't want them to help you get two smoking legs? Well, they still gonna try, right? But when you start talking about legs 3, 4, 5, and 6, that's on you, baby. Do you have the ambition to love again when you've been disappointed before? Can you bring one more in? Can you help somebody else develop belief, develop skills? Because a great organization needs width and depth, because they solve two different problems. Width gives you reach and profitability, but depth gives you strength and stability. So you want to have reach and you want to have stability, because if you think about it like a tree, right? The branches represent people, markets, relationships, opportunities, but the root of that tree represent, are you developing leaders? Because this is what I know. If you got a tree with a lot of branches and a shallow root structure, it looks good until a storm comes. And let me tell you something, storms are coming. I heard it said this way: either you on your way into one, you're in the middle of one, or you on your way out of one. But either way, storms are coming. And what type of storms am I talking about? People problems, family problems, kid problems, health issues, production slumps, leadership conflict. It's going to be problems everywhere. If you're looking for a perfect business, this ain't it. Because if it was perfect the day you and I walked through the door, we messed it up. So why do we want width and depth? Because we want the reach and the stability. And guess what? I know about this business, Stephen Davies. If you build this business the right way, it's going to help you weather those storms. I tell people all the time, build this business while it's day, because I'm telling you, a storm is coming. Nighttime is coming, baby. And you're going to want to be able to take 2 or 3 weeks off sometimes to handle a health scare. You can't do what you want to do. Do you want your money to stop? I always remember Andy talking about, you want your money to be like a river. You need you a little water. You dip your bucket down up in there, you get your water, and before you can get that bucket out the water, that river done closed back up. You don't even see the hole no more. That's how we want money flowing through our checking account, but that's predicated upon us getting width and getting depth, baby.
I love it. I love it, and that what you're setting up rolls right well into the next point we're gonna make, that you are gonna talk for us on why legs 3, 4, 5, and 6. Why legs 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 matter.
Right? I love when we log into the ARC, and on our dashboard you see that first box. It talks about volume outside of legs 4. Like, bro, people that can build it wide and deep like that, they are professionals. We're not looking for one-hit wonders. We're looking for people who can bring some stability and strength to the team. And like I said earlier, most of the time in your top 2 legs, you're getting a bunch of help from your growing upline. They are investing in leads for your people. They are investing time. They are pouring into your folks, right? But legs 3, 4, and 5 it start knowing on these questions like, what can I personally create? I know what my upline can do. Now it's time for me to put my stamp on something. I'm building my resume, my body of work, right? Whether you know how to develop people. John Maxwell says this right here: you never know something until you can teach it to somebody else. You don't know something until you can teach it to somebody else. So I think about it from a sports perspective, Davies. Like, we're in an era now where a lot of professional athletes that that performed at a high level in their respective sports are now trying to transition into coaching. I think Deion Sanders is like has a big stir on this thing now, right? But have you ever noticed that just because a player was good at what they were doing, it didn't necessarily translate into them becoming a great coach? Why is it? It seemed like, okay, well, if I was good at it, I should be great at teaching it, great at coaching it. Because being great at something is different than developing somebody to do it. It's two different skill sets required. You see, a great player, a great producer knows how to sell. They know how to turn it on. They know how to perform. But a great coach knows how to get the producers to perform. What can you get other people to do? Can you connect with them, Ryan, enough to get in there? You got to get past their head, because logically we know that we got a 100% success rate with people that don't quit. But why do we have some people who are growing 20, 30, 40%? And on the flip side, we got some people negative 30, 40%. Why is that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I look at it this way. Anything that happens from me down, it's on me. It ain't Jason Mathis' fault. It ain't Andy Riddle's fault. It ain't Andy Albright's fault. If it's to be, it is up to me. And this is the thing. Great producers, and we have a lot of them in the Alliance, right? Just like professional athletes. They get satisfaction from seeing their name on the leaderboard, seeing their name in shiny lights.
Yep.
But a great coach, they get satisfaction by seeing their team win. Guys, nothing brings Tia and I more joy. Now, I like to see everybody win, to be clear. But when they on the dream team, baby, and they walking across stage earning their first six figures, or they're going on their first all expense paid trip, or their name is on the leaderboard. I challenged my team, Stephen, a couple of months ago. I said, I need more national players. We are playing too small. You might be a big deal on the dream team, but have you considered looking at the national leaderboard? Mm-hmm. So those legs 3, 4, and 5 represent scale. You know, it's like when we, I think that's a buzzword now, like scaling your business, right? But when we talk about scaling a business, we're thinking about growing the business in a manner that don't require all of your personal efforts and expenses to grow at the same rate. You see, like, you think about it. Andy Albright, he has his investments of what he's doing. He got the corporate staff, that big old building over there in Burlington, jet fuel expenses. He is all in. But guess what? We're looking for other people to go all in. That's why when I look at Sebastian and LaQuinta Chambers out in Lawton, Oklahoma, they are investing, they are trying their darndest to duplicate the system at the local level and dominate. Now you see Lawton is on fire, springing up to OKC, over to Dallas, down to Lubbock, Texas. It's on like Donkey Kong. You look at Amia Fennell, been with us for 7 years. Stephen Davies, when I tell you I am excited about Mia Fennell. Have I always been excited about her? Heck yes. But I'm more excited because I see her operating at a whole nother level of confidence. She truly believes that she can add value to people that's joining her team, that she is her. I've been telling her, you are her. Put it at the bottom of your email. I'm her. And that ain't got nothing to do with gender identity. That means I am the leader that you was praying that came into your life. The scales have been removed from her eyes, as did Stephen Davies. I can't call you as everything. Pete, he done messed it up for me. But you look at that, right? You look at a Josh and Alexis Parker. You know what? They just invested in this big old office in Greensboro. I went over there last night for the first time to the hot spot. You know what? They done put some money up. Now it's like, okay, let's see what happens now. Because when you start seeing people invest at higher levels, that shows their level of commitment. And also, Andy says it this way, we be like a baboon up in a tree. Our behinds is exposed, baby. But that exposure is positive peer pressure. That's what legs 3, 4, and 5 represents to me, is that positive peer pressure. That you know what? I'm not going to rest on my laurels. Matter of fact, it's a difference between a leg and a nub. A nub is just one person. A leg is when you got multiple people in it selling, multiple people in it recruiting. So now it ain't about how much personal production Terry can do. I'm looking at how many unique writers do we have. But this is what's getting me more excited now than ever, Stephen. How many unique recruiting agents? I asked Mike and Noel. I said, hey, y'all. How many unique recruiting agents y'all got a month? And they say about 50 to 60. I said, oh, okay. I got 15. Now I got new goals. Now my goal, I ain't trying to freaking compete with my peers. I want to be with the great ones. So now I got to get up to 50. That's what legs 3, 4, and 5, that bigger vision, that bigger dream. So let me shut up because I can go all day.
I could listen to you all day, brother. I'm just telling you. I love the stuff you're saying, but let me just hit some real stuff on legs 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 12, and 13. Like, if you're not continuing to do that, that's a choice. It's not a limitation. You can go as wide as you want. I tell people all the time, if you're not adding width every month, I'm going to need to see a doctor's note that says you are allergic to large sums of commissions. Like just bring me that doctor's note. I'll let up. I won't talk about it anymore. But I got to have. See, the thing is, for HR, I got to have that doctor's note on file that says you're allergic to abundance, and then I'll let up. Won't talk to you about it no more. Now, here's the thing, right? If you only got 2 legs, I don't know if I want to say this. All right. So remember, my name is Adam Katz, and this is a message I approve. No, if you only got 2 legs, you're kind of a groupie. You're just hanging out. I don't want to be a groupie. I want to be a growth agent. Right? Here's what I tell you. The ability to build in width also is going to determine how well you can recover when things go wrong.
And stuff coming.
If you slender, I mean, I'm telling you, something's going to happen, and you won't be able to recover. So I add width every month because I'm like, I need to work on my ability to recover. You won't be able to recover if you're just riding 2 legs. You're not going to be able to recover. You know, are you riding it, or are you running it? Right? Are you riding it, or are you running it?
Hey, David, when you was talking about that slender thing, that's crazy because you'll see it. Organizations that are not wide, when a problem comes up in their downline, that problem becomes their problem.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're wide, like I care, but I also got other opportunities to go and work until that situation kind of works itself out.
Yeah. No, you're right. When you're narrow, bad attitudes and depth become directives instead of just data points.
Yeah.
And if you're wide, it's just a data point. I don't need to worry about your bad attitude.
No, and it goes back to that we owe people 2 things: an opportunity and an example. If I want Sebastian and LaQuinta to continue putting in width, I got to keep putting in width. if I want my downline to sell, this is just my person. I ain't against people that don't sell. I ain't against it. But this is what I know. Like, if I keep my personal production up, I have moral authority to now be like, hey, listen, what's your excuse?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What you got going on? But and the crazy part about it, Davis, you don't have to say it because they'll see it. Yeah. I'd rather show you than tell you.
Yeah. Have moral authority. Don't be morally bankrupt. No, you lose your authority when you tell someone to do what you're not willing to do. Go ahead and get on a call and rail your team about not adding width. I promise you the first thing I'll look at is how much width you added. I promise you. Moral authority.
And you start diminishing your own value because you don't have what I'm looking for in this season, Davies, is conviction. The hell with motivation. The hell with sound bites. I'm looking for conviction because conviction is that deep feeling that you're going to do regardless of the situation. It doesn't matter that my dad was passing away from cancer during AEP. I'm still going to keep going because it's no longer about what's going on in my life. There are lives that's needing what we have. Right? Yeah. We got to keep recruiting because there are young people that's going back to their mama and daddy house, not because they want to be there, but they don't have the income to be able to afford their own place. Yeah. And I just can't see, like, it's good to be able, like, okay, so we just moved, right? And we had a couple of days where we didn't have nowhere to go. So we got us a hotel. And my mama heard about it. My mama said, you ain't got to get no hotel. Y'all can always come home and stay for a couple of days. No, that ain't what I want to do. I'm a grown man. You see what I'm saying? It's like there are people that are relying on us to offer them an opportunity so that they can have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The American dream, baby. The American dream.
Yeah. Hey, how about this as a goal, right? We want to move the locker up at Integrity. How about we all put in so much width that Brian Adams is asking Andy, what is going on with all the width coming on in your organization? Because I'm not seeing that width anywhere else in my sphere. Terry, appreciate you lighting it up on that, brother. And I appreciate your example. I can say the same thing about Brandon and Ryan. I appreciate you. I mean, the example you men set in those things is what helps drive the company. Let's get to point number 7 before we run out of time here. Brandon, talk to us about stop creating dependence. And I love this. I love this subheading because people are unconsciously creating dependence out of trying to create importance, right?
Yeah.
Light us up, brother.
Yeah. So, and I was looking at my notes. I was like, this kind of ties right into what we were talking about earlier. But I think the to your point, dependency can be confused with leadership, right? Because it makes you feel valued, right? Like if you have people that you're constantly answering questions or giving advice to. Without seeking any understanding from them. If they're constantly coming to you for approval, or if they're like, let's say you've done 20 calls with them on recruiting calls, and they're still, and I'm not discouraging that, by the way, but let them run one. Geez, like let them pick up the pieces when you're getting started, And on that piece too, here's the thing that I would encourage you to do. Is have your people listen to you recruit, right? Like if I'm working with Terry and he's getting started with me and let's say he gives me 10 people to talk to, I'm doing him a disservice and I'm doing myself a disservice by not having him on the call hearing what I'm saying. And here's the other thing that I do. I have a debrief conversation with them because I want them to know my thought process through that conversation. Hey, did you notice how they said this? Did you notice how they wanted to talk about this? Right? Like those are the things that you can coach people on. But if you're the type that is just, hey, I'm just going to take the calls for them. I'll do these while they're out there in the field. You know, like you're not helping yourself. So you got to ask yourself, am I allowing them to grow, or am I just building dependency on myself? Because again, as a leader, you're like, dude, you know, you can trick yourself as like, man, I'm very bad. They're not going to think I'm not a valuable asset to them, right? But you can't trick that, right? So, and going back to some of the stuff that we talked about earlier, well, one more point on that too is this whole business is about duplication if you want to grow. And if you don't duplicate yourself, you will stall.
Yeah.
And because it's very hard, like, you know, we can talk about, Terry just mentioned that he's got 15 unique recruiting agents. Man, if he had 60 unique recruiting agents, do you know how much faster his agency would grow? So he's thinking in the mindset of, I got to duplicate as quickly as possible. He's not thinking of the fact of like, hey, I need to call these people and get a list of names and call through them. Like, how can I teach them to duplicate the things that I'm doing with the people that I'm getting started, that I'm building 4, 5, 6, 7 legs, right? So duplication is an important piece. And there's so much when you're training somebody on this that you can be coaching them on, right? So a couple things that I wrote down here is, I won't really go over this one, but it was the don't answer every question immediately. You got to challenge people to think. I think that's an important one, so it might not even hurt to hit on again, but you got to challenge them. And don't take over something, because you might be thinking, I'm a control freak. Right? Like that's a dangerous place to be in this business, but don't take over because you think that you can do it better. Oh. How did you get better? How did you get better, Davies, at selling and recruiting? How'd you do it?
Andy let me do it.
Repetition.
Right.
Repetition. Right? How do you get strong? You go to the gym and you lift weights.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. Right? So it's the same thing with our business. Like, you can't take over, like when you're raising kids. Like, I'm just getting into this, but there's going to be things that I'm going to have to watch them do. I'm going to want to go grab him and hold his hands while he's walking, but I'm just going to have to let that little dude fall. Why? Because he's going to learn. I've got to let him get those little legs get stronger. Here's another question you can ask yourself. Ask yourself when you're working with people, am I coaching them or am I rescuing them? All right. So the difference between that would be, is a coach, I'm going to help them think. And if I'm rescuing them, I'm building dependency. Right?
That is good.
Because if you solve all their problems, you're telling them one thing: keep bringing them to me. Keep bringing me those problems. Right? Allow mistakes. Again, this goes back to the reps. But there's nothing better in your life as a teacher than real life experience. You know, we talk about it. Hey, you know, you can spend countless hours on the university. And me and you can sit here and we can go over countless different hypothetical things that are going to happen when you're on a recruiting call or a sales call. But there is going to be nothing that's going to be a better teacher than getting out there and actually doing these things. But when they make those mistakes, you got to be there. You got to coach them, right? That's how they're going to learn. And then I wrote this down too, is before you step in, just to give you some direction here, like before you step in, ask yourself 3 questions. Can they handle this themselves? And when you think about that, is this their first time doing it? Let's say it's a tough conversation with an agent. Is it their first time doing it? Is it their first time getting somebody interested in the business and recruiting them? Yeah, I'm going to step in there and I'm going to help because I need to show them an example of how that's done. But if you're at a point with them, is this something that they can handle themselves? Then now I'm turning over responsibility to them, even if they don't feel like they're ready for it. Second question I'm gonna ask myself is, what question can I ask them that helps them figure this out? Right? So
I like that.
The last question for you control freaks out there, will stepping in make them stronger or just make the problem disappear quicker? Because that's where it comes into play. When it is so much, I get it. It's so much easier just to give them the answer and move on. It's so much easier to get on that recruiting call because you know how to do it, but you're not building duplication in your business. And down the road, you're going to get to a point to where you start to stall out and you can't figure out why. And then you start to realize, wait, it's because everybody in my organization depends on me for everything. So you gotta give some responsibility. And then when you give them responsibility, what I found is they start to add on responsibility themselves. Like you just heard Chang. Chang does a team call. I didn't tell, I mean, we have a team call. So, but like they add on things themselves and things that he's doing with this team. It's just, you can't do that if you're trying to be, if I'm telling Chang, you do not do a team call, I do a team call, right? Like, what? No, I want him to have that dependency to where if I'm not here, if something happens to me, and think about it this way, we always think about this with life insurance, right? If I'm not here, what does that look like for my family? Well, if I'm not here, what does that look like for my business? So am I setting people up for success, or am I setting them up to crumble if they don't have somebody to depend on? And I sure as heck don't want to hand it over to Andy if something happened to me to where they depend on, they have to, Andy's given a dependent group, because he ain't gonna mess with that for long. He's gonna make you figure it out yourself, So, yeah, I mean, the biggest point here is just if you want to see massive growth within your business, you're going to build duplication, not dependency.
I love it. And Brandon, you are thinking correct on the parenthood stuff. The parents that coddle. Here's the good news about being a coddling mother hen. You don't ever have to wonder what to do with those empty rooms. Because they're always going to be full. You're always going to have plenty of little baby hands to sit on. And let's just be crystal clear. Let's get this out here on the call. Being a control freak is mentally weak and emotionally immature. Being a control freak means that being a control freak is a manifestation of arrogance and insecurity at the same time. And I know you might say those two qualities can't exist at the same time. I'll show you psychological stuff that I've read that says that they do. That I have all the answers, and if I can't give you all the answers, then I'm not important. So it's arrogance and insecurity at the same time, which is a very toxic thing. So, because sometimes people say, "Oh, well, I'm a control freak," like it's a positive thing, but that's a terrible thing. That's a terrible thing. Don't be. Why would you be a control freak? It's emotionally insecure and it's mentally insecure. It's arrogance and insecurity manifesting at the same time, and that's why people that are control freaks in their groups, they can't produce abundance because they're creating toxicity with their control freakness. All right, I'm done. I'm done. Going on about control freaks, but
I also, I think there's a book out there called Extreme Ownership. Be very careful. It's hard to build this business in rebellion. What do I mean by that? We're not saying that everybody should have their own team call. Do we get ready to have a mess at the end of the day? So I don't want people to hear, okay, I need to break away and do my own. I think it was last week, Ryan Chang said, we should master a skill before trying to innovate.
Yep.
Master the skill before trying to innovate. Because a lot of times, I remember when I first came into the organization, I had so many ideas. I was fired up. I was like, all right, I think we should do this. Blah, 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 blah. He hit me with a text back that said, right now, I need your eyes, not your thinking.
Yeah.
So just be careful, because this system, see, this is the thing about McDonald's. When you own a McDonald's, you got to go to Hamburger University, and it's going to take you 6 to 12 months to graduate before you can be an authorized franchise owner. You ain't going into Big Mac and changing the Big Mac sauce to the Big Terry sauce. Yeah. Now, you might be in Kernersville and have some Kernersville pictures on the wall, but the way we make the Big Mac is going to be the way that we make the Big Mac. The recipe is in here. The recipe is in here. The problem is this right here. A lot of times we get bored with the recipe because we're not teaching it to new people. We get leadership fatigue because we're saying the same thing to the same old people. Get you some new wit. And this becomes exciting again, because you get brand new people hearing it for the first time.
And what you're saying about, I'm going to do my own call. Well, what have you accomplished? And is it out of ego or is it out of service? Right? Like Do I have a team call? Yeah. Do I keep it to like 30 minutes? Yeah. My people need example more than they need more exhortation, right? And so if I'm forcing my people to be on 1,000 calls throughout the week and the TWC and the activity call, when are we gonna work? Right. So I love that you caught that nuance, Terry, like, because it could be a situation of I'm starting to become a control freak with my team because I want, and then now my team's not growing. I wonder why. You removed it. It's like I'm plugging a light from the wall and going, wonder why that light went out. I mean,
this thing don't work. Get this thing on. Get this thing on.
Hey, I'm gonna give you one last thought on 8, and then I want a quick 1-2 liner from all you guys, because I believe this. My thoughts are nowhere near as good as our thoughts, right? We threw a lot of thoughts in the idea pool today, so I'd love to hear you guys extract a thought or two. The last thing I'll give you at point 8 is look for leaders before they're leaders. Right. If you only can take credit for people that came as leaders, then you're not developing leaders. Look for people that have the qualities. Do they show you real hunger? Do they show you real work ethic? Do they show you that they're actually coachable? Do they show you consistency? Do they show you communication? Do they show a willingness to serve? When you see those qualities, it doesn't matter what they've accomplished or not accomplished. That is an up and coming leader. That is who we need to develop. We don't need to wait for them. I always think about Talladega Nights is one of my favorite movies with Will Ferrell. And I mean, my favorite favorite line from it is when Will Ferrell's dad is at the the parent career day, and he's smoking in front of the class, and the teacher says, "You can't smoke in here." And he's like, "It's okay, darling. I'm a volunteer firefighter." That's my favorite line because it's hilarious. But my second favorite line is when he gets kicked out of there. And he's burning up his tires, and he says to Will Ferrell, like, "See you when you're born." Right, guys, we don't need to be doing that. Like when we see those qualities of grit, of tenacity, like grab on hold of that. Get that person to travel with you. Say, "Hey, I'm coming to Phoenix. Roll with me." Find those leaders because they're in the organization, and it would be a shame to keep a potential absolute like sequoia tree nothing but a sapling because we kept it in the shade. Get it out in the light. So guys, like I said, my thoughts are nowhere near as good as all our thoughts together. Give us a couple of, hey, whoa, I took this away from the call. Let's start with you, Chang.
Yeah, every time I'm around you, Stephen, Terry, and Brandon, I know it's going to be education. I took 4 pages of notes. That's why you got to be on these calls, And so, I mean, I would say, don't seek to control, seek to empower. Don't seek to control, seek to empower, right? And if you empower people, right, and then they grow and they're learning and they're mastering their craft, right? Seek to capitalize the system first before you stop customizing. That's it. This is not the McDonald's. You can pick your meal, right? We got a system. We got books for you to read. And man, Terry, you fire me up every time I'm around you, man. You're awesome. And then Brandon, I appreciate you. And man, this has been an awesome call, right? Awesome call. Thank you guys.
I love it. Good stuff. See, I told you, our thoughts are better than any of our individual thoughts. Don't end up with the golden arcs instead of the golden arches, right?
I know that's right.
Manley.
Yeah, I would say Ryan was talking, and it made me think of something when he was talking about relationships, and it's the beauty of the way we can make people feel is a lot of times when they come to us is they feel like a number where they previously were. And what you got to keep in mind is people aren't numbers. People are relationships, and relationships will build dynasties. And so the other thing that hit me was a couple things Terry was talking about when he was talking about, I love his tree example, because you are going to come into storms in this business. And if you have a weak root system, it's going to show up very quickly in that moment. So just make sure as you're building that you're building something that has a strong foundation to it. It's like building a house, I mean, they start with a concrete slab for a reason. So.
I love it. Terry, parting wisdom you garnered from being on this call?
Man, being on this call stretches you. It stretched me. because there's always another level of leadership. And I love the opening statement that leadership is not a job title. It's not an income level. It's not a ring. It is truly your influence on the culture. And if we're not looking for anybody to infect the culture. We're looking for people to master this system so that we can have greater influence in the marketplace. We are here on assignment to change lives. Once we ever, let me talk to me. Once I see how my success here is ultimately tied to my eternal success, all the other BS don't matter. Because I don't want to get to the end of this life with more in the tank. I think it was Dr. Miles Monroe that said it best. The wealthiest place in the world, it's not the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. It's not the skyscrapers in Manhattan. It is the graveyard. There lies books unwritten, visions not manifested, and dreams that died before they manifested. Guys, I love this opportunity. It doesn't matter what side of the railroad tracks you were born on. Somebody mentioned the diversity. I love everything about it. When you look up on that stage today, if you don't find somebody that even looks like you or talks like you, you ain't looking, baby. I love what we have built, and not just what we have built, but what we're continuing to build. The last 25 years have been a riot. The next 25 years is totally unhinged, baby. We're going to be talking about not just creating millionaires, but we're talking about billionaires. We're talking about scholarship foundations. We're talking about world domination, baby. That's what we're talking about, Davies. Let's get to what we came to, baby. Love you guys.
I love it. I love it, man. Love you guys too. Like, here's what's crazy. And like more than a few times, I forgot we were doing the TWC. Like, I was just listening to you guys talk. Like, I love it. I love it. I love being around. I love being around leadership. I love being around people that want to get better. And man, I just being on this call was a growth experience for me. I appreciate it. I respect you, Terry. I respect you, Brandon. I respect you, Ryan. I'm so appreciative of your help on this call. And guys, if you take nothing away from my friends in what we talked about today, let's move from the finite. Let's move to the infinite. Right? Let's move from the finite to the infinite. Hey guys, we're going to be back Friday on the activity call. In the meantime, do yourself a favor. Get 2 more people signed up for National Boot Camp. Get 3 more people signed up for National Boot Camp. I'm telling you, there is going to be a fulcrum type event. And every fiber of my being tells me it is National Boot Camp. That is going to be that fulcrum type event where it sells out and then the next thing goes crazy. Because remember, NatCon is coming next, guys. Special time of year. Let's get out. Let's get after it. Man, I really enjoyed being on the call with you guys today. Y'all take care.